I'm quite possibly the only person on planet Earth to hold this opinion. That's right, I'm a firm believer that Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is an easier video game than Elden Ring. I played Sekiro for the first time about a month ago, and as soon as I beat Genichiro, I steamrolled my way through the rest of the game in about 18 total hours. In fact, my major complaint with the game that many people consider to be FromSoft's hardest was that it was too easy. This got me thinking, if I could beat Sekiro so easily, could I make Elden Ring easier by playing it like Sekiro? The obvious answer is no, but I'm not trying to have an almost 2-year gap between uploads again, so I decided to do the run anyway. Alright, let's lay down some rules for beating the game like the one-armed wolf himself. Firstly, if something can be parried, it dies to parries. Sekiro's combat revolves around perfectly deflecting enemy attacks, so I'm mimicking that in Elden Ring whenever possible. This includes cases where I can parry, but not get a riposte afterwards. In the case where I cannot parry, I must use shinobi prosthetics. But semi, you ask, there aren't shinobi prosthetics in this game. To which I say you're correct, so I'm using the best replacements for them that I can find. Like in Sekiro, I'm only allowed 3 of them at a time, and I decided that I'd be using throwing daggers to replace shuriken, flame sling to replace flame vent, and a poison wakizashi to mimic Sabimaru. I can upgrade my weapon 1 smithing stone level per required boss. In Sekiro, you gain attack power by using memories after beating a powerful enemy, hence this Elden Ring rule. 8 required bosses is after Godskin Duo, which is where I'd get my plus 20-foot weapon in a normal playthrough anyway. I am allowed 4 vigor levels per sacred tier. This mirrors finding prayer beads in Sekiro to raise your health pool. There are 12 sacred tiers in Elden Ring, times 4 vigor levels per sacred tier, plus 10 starting vigor from the Wretch class gives me a max of 58 vigor, just 2 below the soft cap. Oh, and of course, hesitation is defeat. This run started with a YouTube tutorial of how to create my character. I see zero difference. Spawning into the Church of Anticipation, I decided to make like my ex-girlfriend. That's right, I'm gonna cheat. I figured that running around just to get some armor wouldn't be great for the entertainment value of this video, so here's the list of what I'm doing. The buckler for the parry, and the Uchigatana to use as my main weapon. 3 shinobi prosthetics as mentioned earlier. My outfit consisted of the Altered Commoner's headband, the Altered Ronin's armor, Millennia's gauntlet, and the White Reed Greaves. I'd be acquiring talisman pouches legally, but for now, the only one I have is the 2-headed turtle talisman since there's unlimited stamina in Sekiro. I made the decision to have free weapon upgrades since I need 48 per boss, and finally, I set my levels to the minimum I need to effectively wield all my weapons. With my bootleg shinobi gear secured, it was time to step into the lands between. Now, most Elden Ring advice says you should run past this tarnished spawn camper, get your horse, and come back when you wouldn't get your head caved in, but I just spent 5 minutes bragging about how easy Sekiro was and hesitation is defeat, so purely for fun, I ran right at the guy. Yeah. I'm the goat. The buckler is nutty, dude. Alright. As it turns out, playing Elden Ring like Sekiro is a great way to remember that I am, in fact, playing Elden Ring. Okay, maybe I'm not like that. The first major hurdle in this run is the timing. Sekiro's parry has no startup frames. As soon as you press it, your parry is instantly active. The buckler has a few frames of delay, however. This means that I have to use the Ash of War a little bit before each enemy would make contact. Once I got used to the timing though, I locked in. Don't doubt me. I'm just like that. While you can't repose the Tree Sentinel, he can still be parried, meaning I had to fight him using parries. My Sabimaru made quick work of the guy. This game sucks and I'm never playing it again. Oh, enemy failed, okay. 1 optional boss down, 0 weapon upgrades used, and a massive ego fanning acquired. Time to actually start the game. I grabbed my horse and did a quick run around Limgrave for some supplies. I made my way to the 3rd Church of America to grab a physic flask from the Sacred Tier. I got the Green Spill Crystal Tier and Spike Crack Tier from the nearby Erd Tree, and the Dex Sat from Fort Height. With my supplies secured, it was time to head to Stormveil and face the first true test of the run. Margit the Fell. I felt pretty confident heading into this fight. Margit is notorious for delaying his attacks 3 to 5 business days to catch you in the end lag of your roll, but I wasn't rolling, I was parrying, so it should be pretty chill, right? Wrong. Lots of Margit's attacks aren't parryable, like all of his holograms. Imagine the perilous attacks from Sekiro, except there isn't a bright red death kanji on the screen telling me I can't parry. The silver lining, however, is that once you would parry him once, he'd always follow up with another parryable attack. The Fell Omen went down on his 2nd attempt, and was looking like the way of the Shinobi was better than the way of the Tarnished. Margit drops a talisman pouch, so I decided to give myself Assassin's Crimson Dagger, which gives me some HP with each successful riposte. There's a similar ability in Sekiro, so I thought it appropriate to use here. With the runes from Margit, I had enough money to get my vigor to 22, so I stopped by the Weeping Peninsula to get enough sacred tears to get my flask to +3. Also, since I had beaten the first required boss, I could level up all my tools to +3 as well. I took the main gate through Stormveil because hesitation is defeat, and walked into Godric's arena, who has the wonderful property of not being able to be parried. While I don't have to play this boss particularly differently than I normally would, I do have the rather common opinion that Godric is easier than Margit, and he went down about as easily as Miss Noble in his standard Sekiro run. Being considerably richer, I went around and grabbed some Sacred Tears to increase my self-imposed Visor Cap, as well as doing Rise quests as I needed to get his Volcano Mana later. I realized I forgot to grab the other Dectus half from Fort Faroth, so I warped into California to grab it, along with one more Sacred Tear to increase my total figure cap to 38. With that, it was time to face the Star Scourge. If you're a fan of this channel, you'll know that I am notoriously bad at the Radagon fight, so when I walked in here with a +6 katana armor that offered about as much protection as the kind shown on the computer fires you're removing when your pants let down and you have lotion nearby just because you really like to stay moisturized, I was prepared to have a bad time. What I found though is that when you're using two weapons with really good status effects, Radagon becomes pretty trivial. He went down on attempt number 3. Next on the chopping block was the Altus Plateau, which had a couple Sacred Tears, and the next boss which I could actually parry in this run, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Now, there's a classic cheese for this boss in which you stand by the edge and parry him, which would be legal in this challenge, but I decided not to do it because it's lame and definitely not because I didn't know how to do it. DTS cannot be hit with a critical, but the combination of Unsheath, Poison, and Bleed made quick work with possibly the least more important boss in this game. The capital was pretty par for the course. I got shot by a Landell Knight and had a very standard gold free fight because he can't be parried, poisoned, or bled. He dropped a talisman pouch, which I used for the dagger talisman, giving me a solid buff to my critical hits. Up next was Morgoth, who posed a much bigger threat than his Stormveil Shade counterpart. Firstly, he needs 3 parries in order to be vulnerable to a crit, unlike Margit's 2. While he has telegraph attacks after each parry, they aren't necessarily parryable like Margit. Furthermore, he has hologram attacks in phase 1, as well as blood attacks in phase 2. Despite the setbacks, I was able to clutch up on my 4th try. With the Elden King dealt with, Melina pulled me aside and said that there were goth baddies in the mountains, leading me to immediately hop on the Grand Lift of Roll and enter Quebec. Along with locals who kill you for not speaking French, Montreal's province held the final 2 Sacred Tears I need to get in this run, allowing me to get my vigor to 54. Fire Giant taught me a valuable lesson. While hesitation is defeat, defeat is also defeat. This fight is less like a standard boss and more like a hockey fight, except instead of us both dropping gloves, my opponent is somehow the goalie and he never took off his blocker. At the start of phase 2, I tried to calm him down by making a 1967 joke to a Montreal resident, but I think he was a Leafs fan out of his natural habitat because it proved to be ineffective. After going about as long without a victory as Canadian teams have gone without the Stanley Cup, I defeated the Fire Giant and then promptly pushed Melon into the fire because she lied about the goth baddies. With newfound rage acquired, I ran into the Dragon Temple where I made the decision to summon Bernal. The idea was that I could actually focus on fighting instead of waiting 5 minutes to parry Fatty once. It also wouldn't trivialize the fight since they would all get 40% more health and they balance out. Half the time Bernal would get melted anyway, reminding me of the Chicago Bears' recent performances against the Detroit Lions. Eventually though, the duo went down, but not without one last stand from the big guy and divine intervention itself.
Okay, Bernie, I wasn't familiar with your game.
Why are you alive?
No.
Before Malekith, I had to acquire the Blasphemous Claw by killing Bernal, who only invades after clearing Volcano Manor. This brings me to a slight logistical issue. There was no reason for Bernie to be this big of a pain. Only his one-handed attacks can be parried, and he has an annoying lifesteal attack which could basically undo one of your riposts if it managed to connect. In my winning attempt, I essentially got lucky and managed to get him into a loop where I could parry him consistently. With the Blasphemous Claw secured, it was time to fight everyone's favorite good boy. The Beast Clergyman phase was pretty bog standard. I was able to proc poison with my Saudi Mungir, but that didn't carry over to phase 2. The trickiest thing about this fight wasn't the slightly unorthodox method of fighting Malekith, it was managing my hotbar. As it turns out, you cannot parry Malekith with a Flask of Crimson Tears, nor can you heal with a Blasphemous Claw. Malekith went down on attempt number 2, and I thought I was in the home stretch.
Why was Bernal harder than Malekith?
Gideon Ofnir is often a crux for many challenge runs, with this one being no exception. If you can't stagger him out of his ring as a light attack, you can easily get one shot with the combo of that and carry in Phalanx. I'd like to reiterate that I had 54 vigor and that I was getting melted by this guy. This fight took me 30 minutes, and on my winning attempt, I went for an honestly rather gritty attack that could have very well backfired. Horaloo was up next, where phase 1 was rather easy, less one slightly embarrassing misstep.
Holy jeez. Wait, no, it's gonna... Oh, come on.
No, yeah, I'm over here.
Hurrah! Rah! Rah! Rah!
I will get better material one day.
It's Mahover. It's Mahover. Gets me over. Woo! I'm the goat. Never a doubt in my mind.
Horribly went down without too much trouble, and it was time for the final and hardest boss of this run. Radagon and Elden Beast each had their own challenge. Radagon was parryable and took 3 before he was vulnerable to a critical hit. Like Morgott, he wouldn't necessarily do another parryable attack after a parry, which made this fight take forever. It wasn't necessarily hard, but one slip up, particularly to his command grab, and I'd be dead. Elden Beast was a whole different, well, beast. Elden Beast is not parryable, poisonable, or bleedable, meaning Wolf was essentially reduced to hype moments and aura, i.e. Caleb Williams. I went through my first 2 attempts power stancing my katana and Sabi-Maru to no avail. I would get melted by Elden Stars as soon as it came up, or if that didn't kill me, the massive explosion attack would, sending me back before Radagon. A quick trip to the Elden Ring wiki later, I found that just 2-handing my katana would make me do much more stance damage, hopefully allowing me to stack an amount of Elden Stars. My first attempt saw me take an L with that strategy because I missed right attack what he was doing, but I was able to get a stance break in, giving me hope. On attempt 2, I locked in. I got him all the way down and finished him quite possibly the most fitting way, with the Shinobi Death Blow. Was this run easier than playing Elden Ring normally? No! Obviously not, but after seeing what this game threw at me, I still firmly believe that Sekiro is easier. Feel free to tell me in the comments why I'm wrong, because I'm not allowed to have an opinion on the internet.